Hey, this is Arthur Carmazzi, and today I'd like to talk to you about last week's video and the lessons we learned from, well, basically a lot of angry people. Now, last week's video was about a current topic, and I personally had believed in my own mind that by using the parallels of what some of the leaders are doing in order to solve real organizational culture problems was a cool thing to do. And of course, because I'm Arthur Carmazzi and I don't really, do things in kind of a serious way, a lot of people said that I was insensitive. A lot of people said that I was, well, okay, we won't go into a lot of the words that they chose, right? But here's the thing, okay? We all deal with tragedy, we all deal with situations in very different ways. And the moment that you start judging someone, then you miss out on all of the potential ideas, concepts, even solutions that they come up with. See, one of my mentors had told me, Arthur, if you really want to, go into the super big time and work for the big giant multinationals like I do, well, then you're going to have to be more serious. Well, considering the fact that a lot of the work I do is related to gamification, and maybe I don't deal with these serious guys, but we still, kind of have done some really great results for a lot of very large clients. Okay? The thing is that having fun does not take away from getting a result. Think about that. Now, I want you to think of when you have been the most innovative, come up with the most creative solutions. Usually, it's when you're with a group of people and when, essentially, you're having fun. There is a physiological, brain chemical way or reason for that. So when you are very serious or you're depressed or you're sad about what's going on or something like that, you're not going to be as creative. You're not going to come up with the solutions that you need to in order to solve the problems. So before you start judging people that approach things maybe in a different way than you may think is appropriate, consider where they're coming from. Maybe they just deal with things differently. Start looking at the potential solutions rather than the how people are approaching it. See, this is where we get into a lot of potential issues because we often focus on how people do things rather than what the result or the outcome that the group is trying to create is. And so this is where a lot of problems in organizational culture come from, where a lot of issues come from in your own personal stress and frustration. I mean, this is where also, Colored Brain has had a huge impact in the business world because it helps people to really understand that your how isn't really other people's how. And then when you kind of mix in some of the emotional drives, which of course if you've learned any of our directive communication psychology, you're familiar with Colored Brain, emotional drives, all of these things, and how they come together to literally create your psychology of how and why you do what you do. And it's predictable. Now, that being said, in the last video, I actually came up with a question that offered the people who are watching the video an opportunity to come up with a solution on how to solve a potentially large problem. Now, think about this. Some of these solutions could have been great, but nobody came up with a solution because everybody was too worried about being angry at the way that I approached the video. So, in your quest for improving your organizational culture, in your quest for improving your relationships, in your quest for improving teams, and even just, how you deal with your friends, think about one thing. Are you judging them based on how they're doing something, or are you judging them based on what they're doing? See, because sometimes what they're doing is noble, but how they're doing it is completely against what you believe is the right way to do it, which is kind of silly. If you actually think about having the same objective with different approaches, couldn't it potentially create more synergy? You think about that. This is Arthur Carmazzi wishing you great success.